I recently got reminded of this when it comes to Polkadot. Nothing I say is financial advice, but remember back in September? So it's not even 6 months ago, right? But back in September, Polkadot and Kusama, by the way, is its canary network, they were amongst the top ecosystems for developer activity. Actually, back in September, at a certain point, to be specific, it was actually September 18th. But actually, at that time, Solana was ranked number one in terms of this category, right? In terms of top ecosystems for developer activity. But what was number two and number three? Polkadot and as well as Kusama. But then because, of course, after that month, in October, Polkadot's native token reached a new all-time low, and this type of stuff was just kind of forgotten about. But I still remember this, right? That's why I was reminded by stuff like this, and I thought, wow, when it comes to Polkadot and as well as Kusama, its canary network, sure, things aren't looking the best as of right now. But not too long ago, it was doing pretty impressive things. And actually, in terms of, I get it, the price isn't doing the best. Like, DOT is still around 29 times lower than $50. I'm totally aware of that. But the thing is this, in terms of fundamentals, I just can't say that I don't like Polkadot because I'm still a fan of the fundamentals. Now, people may be thinking, okay, if the fundamentals are so good, then why is the price like this? Why did it even reach a new all-time low back in October? Well, it's because this is, like, basically, I think, a moment where it's not only just Polkadot. A bunch of altcoins are not doing the best. But what I find pretty surprising is that DOT, as of right now, like, it's kind of nearing that all-time low range, right? And the thing is this, if it's an all-time low back in October, that's literally the lowest of all time when it comes to this. You know what I mean? So an all-time low, that's kind of like fascinating for me to see. And I'm seeing that in 2025. And right now we're kind of even still nearing that level. My kind of perception is that if I can dollar cost average at a much lower point than originally in which I dollar cost average to begin with, would I complain? I don't know if I would, Why would that be such like a thing I'd complain about? This is just my perception. Also, my kind of point of view is this. If I take a look at something like Polkadot, my reaction sometimes is I still like its fundamentals. It's focused on interoperability, right? It's focused on connecting blockchains together. But we also take a look at aspects of Polkadot 2.0. Furthermore, we take a look at the aspects of EVM compatibility when it comes to Polkadot, which I'm a fan of because EVM stands for Ethereum Virtual Machine, and Ethereum is just one of the most popular Layer 1 blockchains out there. Also, on top of that, I take a look at how applications on Polkadot, allegedly, we take a look at things being cross-chain by default, right? Because applications on Polkadot can allegedly seamlessly interact with one another. And I think this is kind of crucial, actually, for the kind of forward progress for this blockchain technology space. Because if things are not able to seamlessly interact with one another, it's going to create a lot of bottlenecks in my perspective. Like, for instance, if I want to see this space kind of at least do its thing, wouldn't having interoperability be somewhat of a cool thing? Because imagine if there's just all these projects, but because they're independent of one another, they can't seamlessly interact with each other. It just creates a lot of kind of like hindrances along the way, which I think just creates a lot of unnecessary friction. But if things can seamlessly kind of interact with one another, despite being kind of different projects, having different sort of branding and all this, why would that be such a bad thing? It's like, imagine if, let's say, I open a mall, and then in the mall, I can only open stores that are related to, let's say, the automotive space. Then that's going to be very specific, right? Because what's going to happen? I'm going to have to build another mall that like is focused on fashion, and then the other mall is focused on this, on that. It just doesn't really make much sense in my perspective. Why not have a mall that can have different types of, stores, seamlessly kind of being in that same environment, right? Being in that same mall. Why not? That's just my perception. That's kind of like the analogy that I would have within this space. This is what I like about Polkadot. They're focused on things I think that a lot of other projects don't really think about. Like, sure, I mean, when it comes to Polkadot, we see some competitors out there, which arguably I would say is like Cosmos, right? We take a look at the aspects of a layer zero when it comes to that Polkadot is a layer zero. And also take a look at, for instance, another competitor when it comes to Polkadot. It's something called Axelar. Axelar, it's also focused on interoperability. But the thing is, if I take a look at what is truly focused on interoperability within this space, primarily speaking, what is kind of arguably number one within that space in terms of popularity, I think it's Polkadot. Sure, Axelar has a way lower market cap, but I'm saying when it comes to just the perception and also despite the pullback when it comes to DOT, it's still kind of considered to be arguably number one within the space that it's focused on. But then the thing is this, something that is considered to be number one within its space in terms of popularity reached a new all-time low not too long ago, back in October, and as of right now, it's basically near that range again. Like, I don't know why I'm complaining, because my intent is the dollar cost average. Now, actually, at $50, considering current circulating supply, market cap would be around 80 billion. That's still over 20 billion less than what BNB reached in terms of market cap at one point back in 2021. Granted, BNB did achieve a new all-time high during the cycle. DOT clearly did not, right? But I'm saying, like, that was at a time when even, like, I think the space didn't look as cool as right now, I think, because back then there was around 300 million owners during the peak of that cycle. Now there's over 600 million, and this is like right now. I'm not even talking about what could be later on in 2026. No, that's literally right now, and allegedly more than ever before in history. And there is no altcoin season. So what could happen if there was one? If it looked better than back in 2021, would it surprise me? I don't think so. Just because of the sheer amount of volume, right? Just because of the amount of owners within the space, it's just drastically more. Like, once we actually saw an altcoin season back in 2021 with around 300 million owners at that time, we saw what happened. So what would the situation look like if back then there was an altcoin season, but actually there was around 600 million owners at that time? Maybe it would have looked completely different, right? But then right now we have way more owners than back then. But then basically, I have not seen an altcoin season. And then despite all that, despite seeing over 1 million holders when it comes to DOT, despite seeing over 600 million owners within the space, DOT reached a new all-time low very recently, like back in October, and also right now we're kind of nearing that range. For me, I'm not going to complain actually because, I'm actually a fan of Polkadot and my intent is the dollar cost average. Now, I'm not telling anyone to do anything, but this is just personally what I'm doing. However, I just wanted to make this video because we are entering into 2026 and 2025 hasn't really been such a, good year, I suppose, when it comes to Polkadot. It hasn't really done much. We've seen some moments of brilliance, right? And we've seen kind of some moments of that also back in 2024, but I have not seen that type of like altcoin season sort of reminiscent of what I saw back in 2021. So I'm just still staying patient. I have not given up. I could easily give up though, but I just have not given up because a lot of people like to ask me, am I feeling a lot of pressure by just holding? No, because even though, again, this is just my personal experience, the reason why I don't feel any sort of extra pressure by holding is because I'm just waiting anyways. I'm holding or not, I'm still going to have to live my life. So I'd rather be waiting for something than not. This is my perception because DOT is going to do what it's going to do, or this space overall in general is going to do what it's going to do with or without me. It doesn't matter. I'm just one person. There's over 600 million owners within this space. What I do or not do, it's not going to matter at all, actually, in the grand scheme of things. So I'm just going to be waiting or not because imagine, right? When Bitcoin was like at $10 or $20, I was still living my life, but I wasn't waiting for anything at that point. I wasn't waiting for this space, and it just kind of did that without me. This is just my perception. So the space is going to do what it's going to do, whether I wait or not. And if I could go back in time, I'd rather be waiting for something, I suppose. So right now, because I cannot go back in time, I cannot change the past in any way, I'm going to just work on myself in the present, right? And just see maybe what it could do moving forward, which is why I'm still waiting. I'm not telling anyone to do anything, but I am still waiting personally. I don't have to, though. This is just a personal decision I made. However, this is just the way I feel about Polkadot as of right now and just kind of my sentiment overall within this space. However, I want to say happy holidays, and I want to say thank you so much for watching this video. I greatly appreciate it, and I hope y'all have a very nice day.